Good evening, you're watching News Mongolia on MNB World. I'm your host, Anurgan Batar. In 4 top stories, 2,737 new cases and 10 additional deaths confirmed on Wednesday. Deputy Foreign Minister met with the UK Prime Minister's trade envoy to Mongolia. USAID supports Mongolia with an additional $3.7 million to fight COVID-19. And for the news, stay tuned. On Wednesday, the Ministry of Health reports that 2,737 new cases of COVID-19 were confirmed and 10 more people have died.
In the past 24 hours, 2,737 new cases were confirmed and 5,680 people have recovered. Unfortunately, 10 patients, 6 women and 4 men died of COVID-19 complications. Out of the new cases, 1,645 were confirmed in Ulaanbaatar and 1,092 were confirmed in the rural provinces. At hospitals nationwide, 20,867 COVID-19 patients are being treated. Out of them, 12,887 show mild symptoms of illness and 314 are in critical condition. Additionally, 44,122 patients are being treated at home under supervision from first-level family hospitals. Health officials advise the public to avoid touching their faces with their unwashed hands and keep wearing masks properly.
Deputy Foreign Minister Mukhchin, who is currently on a working visit to the United Kingdom, met with Daniel Kawczynski, the UK Prime Minister's trade envoy to Mongolia, at Westminster Palace on September 13th.
Deputy Foreign Minister Mukhchin, who is currently on a working visit to the United Kingdom, met with Daniel Kawczynski, the UK Prime Minister's trade envoy to Mongolia, at Westminster's Palace on September 13th. During the meeting, the two sides exchanged views on the current level of trade and economic cooperation between Mongolia and the United Kingdom, perspectives on future development, and issues of regional and international interest. Deputy Foreign Minister Mukhchin expressed his interest in expanding friendly relations and cooperation between Mongolia and the United Kingdom in all fields, particularly bilateral economic cooperation, trade and investment. He stressed that increasing trade turnover is an important means of support for the diversification of Mongolia's exports and developing the production of value-added products. The Deputy Minister invited Mr. Kawczynski to visit Mongolia in the near future. He expressed his willingness to provide information on Mongolia's trade and economic environment and to organize meetings with representatives of major Mongolian businesses. In February 2021, Deputy Foreign Minister Mukhchin and Ambassador Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary of the United Kingdom to Mongolia, Philip Malone, exchanged notes on Mongolia's inclusion in improved terms of trade, which covered 7,200 Mongolian products. The country's access to the British market would be tax-free and preferential. Mongolian-British trade turnover in 2020 was $117 million.
In the early 1900s, Minister Irten Batra initiated the opportunity for study in a country far away from home to the most excellent students in the country. At a recent exhibition, facts and details of what happened after these students were sent abroad are shown on display to the public.
These young men are students named Ayurtsang Dugursurung Namsra Ortnasang, who were taken by the Minister of Mongolia's People's Enlightenment Ministry, Irten Batra himself, to study in France from 1926 to 1930. Mongolia knew it had to expand its foreign relations with other countries apart from only Russia and China to keep up with the global developments. That's why in the early 1900s, Minister Irten Batra initiated the opportunity for study in a country far away from home to the most excellent students in the country. At this exhibition, facts and details of what happened after these students were sent abroad on a display to the public.
This minister has made major contributions to not only education but also to science. For instance, in 1926 he played a big role in having a Mongolian atlas printed in France at the request of Mongolia.
When I was younger, I was never told anything about my grandfather. Later, around 1995 or 1996, many people and media started to talk about him. I believe that my father didn't want to talk about my grandfather as he had been politically repressed. Now we know of him through media, newspapers, etc.
Young Mongolians who were educated or were being educated in the West, including great poet Natsagdorj, were often targeted as repression victims. The Mongolian students in France were brought back to Mongolia before graduation only to be accused of being spies from France or Germany, for some to be beheaded, and for some to get imprisoned for many years.
Even though Mongolia did not have a big budget, these students were supported by the state policy. As a result, they became top scholars in the country. For instance, apart from the 4 students who studied in France, we can name Natsagdorj, the great poet, writer Namdik, renowned artist Namkhatsirang, renowned teacher Batsukh, and others who were all leaders in their respective fields.
Fortunately, Ayorzang and Dugursorung managed to survive the political repression years and lived up to become state prize winners and academicians of sciences. The former Minister of Education, Mr. Batır Bellek, who was introduced to where the students studied and how they were prepared to become the Mongolian elite after over 90 years, indicated this to us.
Throughout history, the Mongolian government aspired to send its students and youth to study in developed countries at every opportunity. Importantly, students who gained education abroad should return to their country and make contribution to the development in their respective fields. We are also working to make situation for the overseas graduates to return and live back in Mongolia as favorable as possible by making some legal adjustments.
Mongolia is currently working with a number of universities in France.
Now let's take a look at Mongolia's current affairs.
In the face of the COVID-19 pandemic, the Mongolian doctors, nurses, and medical staff in Schlesinger retirement home in Berlin, Germany, learned the Mongolian dance Tölönghol. They learned the dance to show that they are all together to support people suffering from COVID-19. The event was initiated by Girle, a Mongolian cultural envoy to Germany, and Holang, a dancer of the Mongolian National Song and Dance Ensemble. The United States, through the United States Agency for International Development, has provided 3.7 million or 10.5 billion Mongolian tugriks in additional urgent COVID-19 assistance for Mongolia. This assistance will provide life-saving medicine testing kits, urgent medical equipment and supplies, oxygen therapy, and personal protective equipment. USAID will also improve hospital incident management, support field hospitals and laboratory sequencing to identify variants, improve mental health and psychosocial support, design educational TV content for pre-primary children, provide psychosocial and psychological support for children and families, and promote messaging on the importance of vaccinations and how to prevent the spread of COVID-19. Joint Disaster Response Exercise Hanga 21, organized by the National Emergency Management Agency in partnership with the U.S. Army Civil Affairs soldiers, will take place in Arkhanga Province from 14th to 24th of September. A training base has been established at the Chinggishkhure camping base, 4 kilometers from the provincial center, in order to maintain an infection control regime during the COVID-19 pandemic. Staff from central and local emergency services are taking part in the exercise. The training will focus on earthquake disaster response while touching 5 main areas of interest, including disaster management, command and staff training, rope training, rescue from confined space training, field hospital opening activities, as well as public relations workshops.
Now let's take a look at the currency exchange rates provided by Mongol Bank. Now let's take a look at our regular feature on sports.
Bronze medalist at the Asian U23.
The Mongolian Freestyle Wrestling Federation has selected its athletes for the World Championships in Oslo, Norway, in all weight classes except in the women's 53 kg from the challenge held in Batsumbur about 10 days ago. Bolortoya Batochur, an Olympic and World Cup bronze medalist in the 53 kg weight category, and Otkhunjaril Kambatar, a world champion, wrestled at the Hasso Megawatt Eco Sports Complex. According to the Mongolian Freestyle Wrestling Federation, Bolortoya will fight in Oslo from October 2nd after defeating her strong rival. Also, Bolortoya was awarded the title of Honored Athlete of Mongolia. Over the weekend, the Mongolian Boxing Association has selected its athletes to take part in the World Championships. The 2021 World Boxing Championships will kick off on October 22nd in Belgrade, Serbia. The tournament was scheduled to take place in the Indian capital New Delhi, but the organizers terminated the contract and paid a fine of $500,000 to AIBA. Nimbatar, the new president of the Mongolian Boxing Association, said 22 athletes who have successfully competed will go to the pre-world training camp. After the World Championship training, a final meeting will be held and the first and the second boxing teams will be officially announced. The federation will provide training for each of them. It is noteworthy that Muhirtung, a 39-year-old London Olympic bronze medalist, will take part in the World Championships. He has competed in the Olympics in Athens, Beijing and London and won bronze medals at the 2009 World Championships in Milan and the 2013 World Championships in Almaty. Tsindwatar, an honored athlete and bronze medalist of the World Championships, was expelled from the national team and did not participate in the selection. Boyan Data, who competes in the 57 kg weight category, will travel to Serbia. Tsindwatar recently wrote on his Facebook page, "I want to go to the World Cup in October and give me a chance." Boyan Data, a native of Holt province and a member of the Bolor Bedli club, is a 22-year-old athlete who won a silver medal at the Emil Jaichev International Amateur Boxing Tournament this year. Here's the weather forecast of world's major cities. Well, that's all for today and thank you for staying with us. We'll see you tomorrow with more news and updates. Have a nice evening. Goodbye.